First, the 9 headlines at 9. The Aam Aadmi Party leader and former Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia, walks out of jail after 17 long months. He calls it a victory of the truth and constitution, meets Kejriwal's family after the release. Vinesh Fogart's medal hearing in Paris. Wrestler argues weight gain happened from natural recovery and not fraud. Verdict likely to come from the Council of Arbitration on Sports on Sunday. Neeraj Chopra wins a historic silver at the Paris Olympics, becomes the first and only Indian track and field athlete to win 2 Olympic medals. It's the chairman of the Rajya Sabha and Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar versus Jaya Bachchan. The row erupts in Rajya Sabha. The SP MP condemns RS chair's tone and body language. Opposition walks out, now threatens Dhankar with a no-confidence motion. Modi government forms a panel to monitor the situation at the Indo-Bangladesh border, ensure safety of Indian nationals and minority Hindus. Hundreds line up at the border in Kuch Bihar. Supreme Court stays Mumbai college hijab ban, says students must have freedom of choice, directs college to maintain atmosphere conducive to all religion. Air India suspends flight operations to Tel Aviv amidst escalating tensions between Iran and Israel. All flights suspended with immediate effect. Prime Minister Modi to head to Wayanad to take stock of the rescue operations tomorrow. 226 bodies have been recovered. 403 have already body parts found in the aftermath of the killer landslides. And health concerns mount for Sunita Williams as she remains stuck in space. NASA astronaut faces a risk of bone weakness, radiation exposure. Her return to Earth is not possible before February 2025. Okay, but the big story that we are breaking at the moment, the Aam Aadmi Party leader and Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia, walked out of Tihar jail a short while ago. Sisodia has walked out after 17 months, met Kejriwal's family. He claims that truth and constitution have won. He says that dictatorship will not be allowed. He now has demanded the release also of the Delhi Chief Minister, Arvind Kejriwal. So Manish Sisodia talking tough after 17 months in jail. Preeti Chaudhary, my colleague, joins me on the very latest. Preeti, there is some buzz that Manish Sisodia could even return possibly as Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. What are you gathering? Could he actually now be back in government?
Well, you know, Rajdeep, number one, the judgment doesn't restrict Manish Sisodia of coming back to government. But there's a technical issue there, and that technicality lies in the fact that who moots Manish Sisodia's name as the Deputy CM or even the cabinet seat. That has to come from Arvind Kejriwal, who is in jail right now. So can he actually officially sign a paper? Till now, he's only sent requests. The last one was where he requested that it would be Atashi who would be hoisting the flag in the national capital on Independence Day. So will he be able to do that? Will it be accepted by the LG? It's also to note that Delhi, it doesn't just get limited to the LG. The LG then has to send, that request all the way up to the president. So can Arvind Kejriwal do that in jail is a technicality, number one. Number two, with word coming in, Manish Sisodia hasn't been very well, though he was, high in spirits today when he came out of jail. So he might be given some time. His wife has been ailing for a fair amount of time to just recuperate. But it is a huge shot in the arm for the Aam Aadmi Party, especially because now you have what you've touted as the face of governance. Mind you, he's the most trusted lieutenant of Arvind Kejriwal. Right. Arvind Kejriwal in jail would be heaving a huge sigh of relief, because if it comes down to organization, if it comes down to governance, to have his closest aide back, who's, seemingly as a calming leader, right, not in too many crosshairs. Everybody respects him, everybody speaks to him and looks up to him, especially the cadre in Delhi. And we are 6 months away from Delhi elections. Okay. So Manish Sisodia, clearly someone to watch out for. Could he be back in government? 17 months in jail. He's now finally out. But it's not just what happened with Manish Sisodia politically, as Preeti just told us, but it's also what happened in court, because the courts have given a very strong order in the case. The Supreme Court, Justice Gavai, while giving the order, has said bail, not jail. Bail, not jail should be the rule in this country.
Well, some would say they've woken up 17 months too late for it. Will the courts then across the country follow the bail not jail principle? Is trial delay a good ground for bail in a PMLA case? Does the Sisodia case now bail spell hope for Kejriwal and others who have been tangled in jail for a long time? Joining me now at the very top is Abhishek Manu Singhvi. He is, of course, senior counsel, was appearing in the case and senior Congress leader as well. Appreciate your joining us, Dr. Singhvi. Why do you think this judgment is significant? When Justice Gavai says bail not jail, he's only reiterating what we all know. So why is it that it becomes so significant at the moment?
Palkiwala once said, Rajdeep, that the restatement of the obvious is sometimes vital because a lot of people other than this bench seem to have forgotten it. Now, let me answer your questions which you're showing on your screen one by one very quickly in the limited time available. First and foremost, I think this judgment establishes the old basic principle of bail jurisdiction that it is a robust, commonsensical, not too much of high-flying jurisprudence, not wastage of time. This bench got the matter, it heard the matter in a very short while, it reserved orders and delivered judgment promptly. That is how bails are to be rejected or accepted. That is robust, commonsensical judging. It is not some high jurisprudential flights, which sometimes different benches seem to take.
No, but it's taken 17 months. Sorry to interrupt. It's taken 17 months for the court to get to this point?
No, I am talking about this bench. This matter reached this bench not even 17 days ago or 17, some very short while ago. Now, why is it taken? I'm coming to that point. That's a very important point you're raising. But let me tell you the legal principle which this judgment establishes in sequence to several earlier ones is that 45, which is supposed to be the bugbear, a synonym for not releasing you, special conditions, will be trumped, will be overridden by the larger, higher constitutional guarantees of anti-delay, Articles 20, 21 and 22. Do you see, you need to have, this is only a statutory provision. This cannot excuse or keep you behind for inordinate delay. You must be able to show, of course, in a particular case delay. Here, there is no end, no possible end to the trial in sight. Two earlier, or in fact, three earlier Supreme Court orders have underlined delay. So that's the heart of the principle. But see this judgment as a continuum. I have had the privilege of appearing in three matters where Kejriwal has got bail in PMLA. The principles established are grounds of arrest, reasons to believe. And today, Justice Gavai's order is very significant because in the context of 45, it uses and applies the principle bail, not jail. Now, your question is the core question. Why do we keep coming here? Really speaking, there is a subtext of a lament in the judgment. It is high time the judgment says that trial courts and high courts simply decide it on these broad principles. As I always say, they have nothing to lose except their inhibitions, their hesitations, which are mystical. Today, most of these matters need not even reach the Supreme Court. If they reach the Supreme Court, your 17 months is answered. There is a process, there is a ladder. In this case itself, there was an unfortunate preliminary objection by the government, which said, I should be made to go all the way again back to the bottom because of a certain interpretation of an earlier order of the Supreme Court. In a paragraph, the honorable judges have debunked it rightly, saying that this would be a game of snakes and ladders. So your 17 months are very often spent in this futility of exercises, not keeping in mind the larger paramount paradigm of liberty of the individual.
Yes, but
you welcome this judgment.
Yes, but Dr. Singhvi, the fact is, we are here dealing with the former Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. What about, there are thousands of under trials in this country who again go through this process of snakes and ladders. I go to a lower court, I'm told lower court won't give me bail, I have to wait till the Supreme Court. So, at least Manish Sisodia gets, because of being a Deputy Chief Minister, perhaps gets a benefit that otherwise many others would not, particularly under PMLA.
I'll tell you, in PMLA especially, if you are a supposed VIP, if you are a political figure, the courts are more hesitant. It's the other way around. If you have the anonymity of not being in public life, you are more likely to get bail. That is really the problem. The courts become conscious. The courts become hesitant. There are any number of people who have got bail and should get bail. In the public life sphere, fewer and fewer get it, which is why these court matters land up as so-called high-profile cases in the Supreme Court.
No, so
And
will today's order change anything? Do you believe today's order will will make it easier for high-profile detainees, the likes of Arvind Kejriwal and others, to actually get bail? Will that actually happen?
Well, in operational reality, jolly well should. The Supreme Court's orders are supposed to be implemented in letter and spirit. You don't need the Article 141 and 142 of the Constitution to tell us. They have to be. Now, this is the third, fourth time. Remember, there are 3 Kejriwal orders. There is a Sanjay Singh order. There is a Praveer Purakastha order. There are 2 recent judgments on delay in more serious UAPA offences. The point is that this message is driven home. I believe different benches of the Supreme Court have to be more consistent in repeating this message. If the consistency of different benches in the Supreme Court is there, then there is no question that every trial court and every high court in the country must follow this.
But I will ask you this in conclusion, because the trial courts and the high courts across the country are not following it. They seem, as the court itself says, to be too cautious, too unwilling to take a risk in granting bail, which is crazy at the moment.
That is very unfortunate. And the court repeatedly, in this case especially, has rightly underlined it. Absolutely correctly. Now, you know, the Supreme Court, our court system has a limitation that they deal with the case before them. The Supreme Court or the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Gavai, can't get up and go to each high court and say, look, decide this way. They deal with the case before them. Therefore, this message has to be picked up. The problem is, if you don't pick it up, then more time is wasted. I come to the Supreme Court where I get bail, which is why 5 months becomes 10 months, 10 becomes 17 months. Okay. And that is something to be deprecated. As I always say, you have nothing to lose except your inhibition. There is absolutely no reason for fear. The law is clear.
In your view, therefore, is Arvind Kejriwal likely to get bail within a month now?
Now, I have been very free in talking about the Sisodia case because it's over. I'm not going to be that free in talking about a sub judice case, but I can tell you one very striking, unprecedented, unusual thing about the Kejriwal case. It deserves underlining. Kejriwal's case is the only case, perhaps, and certainly one of the few I have done, where I have been successful in getting 3 release/bail orders. One, of course, has been stayed, but 3, 2 by Supreme Court, 1 by trial court. And these are all 3 PMLA release orders. I have yet to come across a case, Rajdeep, where a PMLA release order is followed by a CBI arrest. And CBI, which has got no Section 45, bail is denied. Whereas in the one which has Section 45, you release him 3 times.
Very, very interesting point that you're making there, Dr. Singhvi, and it therefore points out to the fact that many of us believe something in our judicial system will have to give, and will have to ensure greater consistency so that the right to life and liberty under Article 21 is underlined in each and every case in this country. That, to my mind, is perhaps one of the messages that the court, Apex Court, sent today. I appreciate, Dr. Singhvi, you taking the time to join us here today to give us your sense of why you believe this judgment is important once again. I want to play out just now what Manish Sisodia, he came out of jail, Tihar jail, about a couple of hours ago. Listening to what he had to say, he sounded like someone who's now determined to take the fight ahead. Listening to him.
संविधान की ताकत का इस्तेमाल करते हुए तानाशाही के मुंह पर एक तमाचा मारा है। आज मेरा रोम रोम, जब से यह ऑर्डर आया है सुबह से, मेरा रोम रोम बाबा साहब के प्रति ऋणी हो रहा है। एक एक पल में समझ नहीं पा रहा हूं कि आज इतने दिनों बाद, इतने वर्षों बाद बाबा साहब के प्रति कर्ज को हम कैसे उतारेंगे। उस वक्त उन्होंने तय कर लिया था कि आने वाले समय में अगर कोई तानाशाही सरकार आके निर्दोष लोगों को जेल में डालेगी तो संविधान इसको बचाएगा। आज मैं बाहर आया हूं तो आपके प्यार की बदौलत, आपके प्यार के साथ साथ भगवान के आशीर्वाद की बदौलत, सच्चाई की ताकत की बदौलत, और सबसे बड़ी चीज जो बाबा साहब ने जो सपना देखा था कि कोई तानाशाही सरकार आएगी तो तानाशाही भरे कानून बना बना के जब नेताओं को, विपक्ष के लोगों को जेल में डालेगी, तो इस देश का वो संविधान जो बाबा साहब ने बनाया था उसकी रक्षा करें। मैं आपसे अपील दिलाता हूँ, इसी संविधान की ताकत से हमारे प्यारे नेता अरविंद केजरीवाल जी भी बाहर आए हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के लिए जेल से पहले टूटेंगे, जेल से पहले टूटेंगे। ये संविधान की ताकत है कि हमारे प्रिय नेता, इस देश के लोकप्रिय नेता और इस देश के एक बच्चे के लिए शिक्षा पे काम करने वाले नेता अरविंद केजरीवाल जी जल्दी।
Okay, remember, as I said, this judgment has political and legal implications at the moment. Joining me now is Abhimanyu Bhandari, Advocate Supreme Court, the country's leading expert on the prevention, one of the country's leading experts on the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. I'm joined by Vishwajit Bhattacharya, former Additional Solicitor General, joins me. He's also tracked the PMLA laws very closely. And Ajay Alok, the BJP spokesperson, is also with us. I appreciate all of you joining us. I want to come to you, Abhimanyu Bhandari. You might have heard Abhishek Manu Singhvi saying, look, this case should become now, what the judge said today, should become a template in all PMLA cases. Bail, not jail. Do you believe that the laws of the PMLA, the statutes of the PMLA make that very difficult because the statute is effectively guilty till proven innocent?
Absolutely, Rajdeep. And that is a fundamental problem with this entire act. This act imposes a maximum sentence of 7 years, but then goes on to say that a person who will go to court to ask for bail will have to satisfy the court that he's actually not convicted, he's not committed the offense. And this is a very high threshold that for any accused to satisfy a court, and therefore large number of cases, many accused are languishing in jail without any possibility of bail. And that's why this judgment, according to me, is a watershed in the jurisprudence of bail in PMLA cases and generally in economic offences cases. That is because the court says that regardless of what the statute says, regardless of the harsh conditions that such statutes impose, the fundamental principle is that courts should be mindful of the fact that if the trial is going to take time, then one needs to consider that an accused has a fundamental right to speedy trial. And therefore, that is the overarching principle that every constitutional court or every trial court should keep in mind and see whether trial can be completed in a short time or not. And if you see that there are a large number of witnesses, number of documents that the court has to go through, then the court should not get constrained or shackled by the wordings of the statute and the conditions, the rigorous conditions, but should go ahead and grant bail because every accused has a fundamental right to a speedy trial. And this is a statement which is not repetitive. I agree with what Dr. Singhvi says, but please know that in the PMLA jurisprudence, we needed this judgment badly to assert that this is a criteria which the court has to consider and not just get bogged down by the twin conditions of the PMLA Act. The problem is that the courts, the trial courts and the high court are so bogged down by the wordings of the rigorous conditions that a lot of time is spent in understanding whether the accused has committed the offense or not at the bail stage. And the focus is not whether the trial can be completed in a short period of time. So I think this is a watershed in the jurisprudence of bail.
Is it that the courts are bogged down, Vishwajit Bhattacharya, by the nature of PMLA, or are they too scared? When it comes to high-profile cases, no judge of the trial court or the high court wants to be seen to be granting bail out of a sense of fear. The Supreme Court today almost alluded to that. But is that the problem, that there is a fear factor out there?
Absolutely, Rajdeep. Today's judgment very categorically records that the judges of the subordinate court and high court, they played safe. And so today, in fact, it's a very solemn message that this judgment has given to the entire judiciary across the length and breadth of the country, cutting across subordinate judiciary and the High Court. Now, they better follow the judgment. Otherwise, a day will come under Article 141, 142, 144. The Supreme Court may have to strike and strike hard.
No, you really believe that the courts will wake up today?
Yes, courts have no option but to wake up. You see, because just last week, when one honorable judge of Punjab and Haryana High Court had crossed the limit, then a 5-judge constitution bench sat, and then it rose to the occasion by refraining from exercising its powers. The court gave the message that power is not ability to strike, but ability to refrain from striking. So this judgment for the first time on a historic day, today 9th August, I think today is the Quit India movement date. So I think the refreshment, it's a very refreshing order to two of the, in fact, this is a very fine judgment given by the bench. And Article 21, the right to speedy trial, which we have been reading from the student days, that has been upheld. And for 17 months, the trial has not even commenced. What a shame.
But the fact is, so who's going to, the fact is, of course, you make a strong point, and people will ask who will give Manish Sisodia, therefore, back his 17 months. The trial has also not commenced in the case. And Ajay Alok, therefore, the charge which is being made is that the PMLA has been weaponized. 90% of the politicians, 95% of the politicians who've been charged under PMLA are from the opposition. The conviction rate in those cases remain low. And most of the cases have not been brought to trial for months and years on end. The process has become the punishment, and the government, according to the opposition, has used it to target opposition leaders. Manish Sisodia being the latest case. Your response?
First of all, if PMLA is so much draconian, and Supreme Court would have thought so, then why not Supreme Court took the whole PMLA Act into revision? They should have scrapped it. Don't twist that matter. He has just got a bail, which is fundamental right of every citizen. And Supreme Court very clearly considers him as Mr. Sisodia as a considered criminal. They never went into the merit of the case. They said that keeping a person for 17 months without the trial process has begun is not a criteria, so bail should be given. That's its sacrosanct right.
Yes, but that's the process is the punishment. Dr. Alok, that's precisely it. You keep someone in jail for 17 months without the trial commencing. That's where the process is the punishment in this country at the moment.
And by Rajdeep, by you saying so, that the lower courts are scared, that means you are not following the authority of the lower trial courts and the high courts. They're all scared. I mean, this is not a kind of a statement to be made by a senior journalist like you.
No, 1 minute. Have you heard?
What I'm saying.
No,
That's
1
what
minute.
I'm saying.
1
That's
minute.
what I'm saying.
1 minute, Mr. Alok. I'm only telling you the hint given by Justice Gavai.
Let me complete.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yes. First of all, Manish Sisodia has not been exonerated. He has just been given bail. There's an ample evidence. And today, Supreme Court never went into the merit of the case. Had Supreme Court been so convinced that he's real saint, why like a considered criminal, he has been released onto all those kinds of
why is the trial not commenced? Why is the trial not commenced? Why is the trial not commenced, sir? 17 months. Are we saying that now people will be kept in jail while the ED says we are continuing to investigate? Is that not in a way against my right to life and liberty?
The trial has not commenced because on 3rd July, Mr. Sisodia's lawyer, they demanded for the papers, which they have all right to do so. It was supposed to be given by 3rd July, and that process of investigation cannot be completed in 6 to 8 months. It was very clearly stated in front of the Supreme Court. And there are more than 1,000 documents. There are more than 400 witnesses which needs to be present in front of the court. And the Supreme Court clearly said that it's not possible that in a limited frame of time you can examine all these evidences in the court. So it's going to take a long time. So let's give him a bail. Why are you making Sisodia a hero?
Okay.
Lalu Yadav also got bail in Fodder scan. Was he a hero? Later on he got convicted. Today also he's on bail on health grounds. Does he become hero? If in this country, if anybody gets bail on any offense, does he become hero?
Okay.
I mean, why so Lord worshipping about Sisodia?
Okay,
and why is the draconian law by the center? Lalu Yadav was convicted. When Lalu Yadav was convicted, was BJP in power? When Lalu Yadav was first charged with the CBI seat, was BJP in power? The ample incidents. Don't raise your fingers at the sincerity of the trial courts or the high courts.
Okay.
Then let Supreme Court decide every case. What's the need for high court?
Okay,
and what is the need for the trial court?
that's a good point that I want to take to Abhimanyu Bhandari. Here's the BJP spokesperson on the show saying, don't treat the high courts and trial courts as simply rubber stamps, that they will not grant bail. The truth of the matter is Manish Sisodia's merits of the case have not been decided. It's purely a procedural argument that has been made, and that's how the BJP is seeing this. It's not the weaponization of PMLA, just the process of the law.
Yes, but Rajdeep, when a person is asking for bail, he should not be made to justify the merits of the case at all. Merits of the case will be dealt with at the final hearing after evidence has been led by all the parties. Don't forget, today in our country, there are 5,297 registered PMLA cases in the last 10 years and only 40 convictions have happened. Does this mean that every accused person should languish in jail and wait for his day to come till the trial is over? Certainly not. Bail is not a forum to decide the merits of the case. What is important in our country is that we now follow a pattern where bail becomes the rule. And these new conditions, you see what has happened, Rajdeep, that since we've recently in the last 10 years, we've seen that a number of these statute books have started coming out with conditions which are very similar to stringent Terrorism Act conditions, that a court has to be satisfied that the person has not committed the offense and then only grant bail. And I think it is time our jurisprudence moves on and frowns upon such conditions. Don't forget that
Why does the trial, if you can explain to our viewers, Abhimanyu, why does the trials take so long? Why has it taken 17 months and the matter doesn't reach trial? The original arrests were made in September 2022.
Well, very well. First, ED itself did not complete the investigation for so many months. ED itself has taken time and again to complete the investigation, and they filed 8 charge sheets. So therefore, they will take time to complete investigation. Until their investigation is not complete, trial can't begin. Second, look at this case. In this case itself, there are 439 witnesses. So each of those witnesses have to be examined, and therefore this is going to be a time-taking procedure. Also, there are 60,000 pages of documents which one has to go through. Our courts are anyways, there is a backlog of huge amounts of cases. So to finish a criminal trial of this magnitude in a speedy manner is a challenge.
Right.
Plus, investigating agencies do take time to complete investigation. Ask ED how much time they took in this case to complete investigation. So it's not like that the accused doesn't want the case to proceed. But Rajdeep, forget all this. I'm on a very basic principle of law. Why should we keep a person behind bar if he's facing a trial and we feel that the person is not going to run away from the course of justice? The question we need to ask is Manish Sisodia going to run away from the country and not face trial? Certainly not.
Okay.
He's a man with deep in the society. People like them should be granted bail.
Of course, earlier the trial court judgment, so the ED said before the trial court the possibility of his interfering with documents. But yes, Ajay Alok, you're raising your finger. Please go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to remind him that the Delhi High Court very categorically said that since this person, Manish Sisodia, is handling 18 departments and virtually in hand in gloves with, it seems that he's hand in gloves with all the mafias. So it's not wise and prudent to give him bail. That's why Delhi High Court rejected his bail. That was the wordings of Delhi High Court. Now, second thing, we are not discussing about judicial reforms or judicial expertise and how we should reform it. Bail cannot be the rule. If that is going to be the rule, what about the terrorism charges? What about Umar Khalid? What about the sedition charges? Bail cannot be the rule. If the court is not satisfied that you are not going to tamper with the evidences. Today, Supreme Court has also said that most of the evidences have been collected. So we don't think that he's going to tamper with the evidence anymore because all the evidences have been collected and it is submitted in the due court. Additional supplementary charge sheets have been filed. So there is no reason to keep him prolonging.
Okay.
So let's not mix two things.
No.
What you're talking is of judicial reform, that bail should be the law. It cannot be the law, my dear friend.
You're saying bail?
Going to happen,
No, 1 minute. Let the lawyer, Vishwajit Bhattacharya, here you've got the politician saying bail cannot be the rule in this country. He's saying, what about Omar Khalid? He's raised Omar Khalid, who has spent 4 years without any conviction. He's in jail.
He may raise individual cases. I am not concerned about individual cases. Bail is the rule, jail is the exception, and that has been very emphatically reiterated today. And my learned friend
So why should an Umar Khalid also not get the same benefit then tomorrow?
Umar Khalid, everybody should get the same benefit depending on the conditions of bail. Based on each fact and circumstances, bail is the rule. Okay. Now, today, the stage has come. This cannot be superseded anymore. And, Rajiv, I was just going to say that individual and cases of merit, for a bail application, merit is hardly considered ever. I mean, here the trend has been set in the lower courts and high courts that while hearing a bail application, arguments go on and on and on. That's not the intention of either the legislation or the case laws.
Okay.
So my final submission before your distinguished audience is, this is a very refreshing judgment. I am not concerned about individual Umair Khalid or Manish Sisodia. If somebody has committed a wrong, hang him. But hang him after a due process. But the process which has been followed in our country has been set right and corrected by a very strong, refreshing message, by a historic judgment of the Supreme Court. And this judgment must be read by every judicial officer in the country.
I'm running out of time.
Classic historic judgment.
I'm running out of time. I'll give Ajay Alok before, otherwise he will say I didn't give him sufficient time. You have 30 seconds. Your time starts now.
I'll just put one thing in front, that every case, it's not a matter of individual case, but in general, bail cannot be a law and jail should be an exception. If that is the case in this country, we have seen Kasab, who was arrested in 2009.
No, but now are we going to compare, we are comparing Kasab now with Sisodia. We are going to compare Kasab with Sisodia.
No, he should have also got the bail, if that is the logic.
No, that's not the logic.
Got the bail. Why he was not put on bail?
No, you cannot compare Mr. Dr. Ajay Alok.
You cannot justify that you have a right to get bail in every case. Even the trial has not started. This is not an argument at all.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I've heard all three sides and it's good and reassuring to hear three different perspectives. Thank you all very much for joining us. Abhimanyu Bhandari, Vishwajit Bhattacharya, Ajay Alok. Bail not jail, or is it jail not bail? You decide. The courts certainly have sent out a strong message. Another strong message today came on the last day of the budget session of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha. There was high drama with the opposition alleging they were not being given a chance to speak and, more importantly, accusing the Vice President and Rajya Sabha chairman of not just being biased but of being insulting to one of the senior-most Rajya Sabha MPs, Jaya Bachchan. The BJP is calling the entire episode shameful. The opposition now is threatening to move a no-confidence, even possibly an impeachment motion against Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. Take a look.
आपका टोन जो है,
my tone, my language, my temper, no, enough of it, enough of it. You may be anybody.
Massive showdown in Parliament. A fiery face-off between Samajwadi Party MP Jaya Bachchan and Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar.
So we are colleagues, sir. You may be sitting on the chair.
Jayaji,
and I remember when I went to school.
Jayaji, take your seat. Honorable members.
This after Jaya Bachchan objected to Jagdeep Dhankar's tone while speaking in Parliament.
Sir, मैं जया अमिताभ बच्चन ये बोलना चाहती हूँ. मैं कलाकार हूँ. बॉडी लैंग्वेज समझती हूँ, एक्सप्रेशन समझती हूँ. और सर, मुझे माफ करिएगा, मगर आपका टोन जो है is not acceptable. We are colleagues, sir. You may be sitting
immediately objecting to Jaya's remark, Dhankar fired back.
An actor is subject to the director. You have not seen what I see from here. Every day, I don't want to repeat. I don't want schooling. I am a person who has gone out of the way. And you say, my tone?
Soon after the sparring, the opposition staged a walkout. Opposition parties are planning an impeachment motion under Article 67 against the chairperson in Rajya Sabha. They have started a signature campaign.
एलओपी बोलना चाहते थे पर उनको मना किया गया और बार-बार उन्होंने कोशिश की कि बोलने की कि जो सांसद जिस शब्दों का इस्तेमाल किया है एक वरिष्ठ नेता 50 साल का उनका तजुर्बा है, अनुभव है, उनके बारे में कुछ बातें कहीं जो बहुत आपत्तिजनक थी पर खड़गे जी को बोलने नहीं दिया. इसलिए आज सारे विपक्ष पार्टियों ने वॉकआउट किया है प्रश्नकाल का.
She has vast experience and she has more parliamentary experience, and I beg to differ from what the Vice President said. She comes with vast more experience than the Vice President himself. With all
she has come here as elected MP for 4 times.
Union Minister JP Nadda came to Dhankar's defense.
माफ करिएगा मगर आप
आज जो घटना घटी है और जिस तरीके से विपक्ष का व्यवहार रहा है वो बहुत ही असंसदीय, अमर्यादित और अनुशासनहीनता व्यवहार रहा है और मर्यादा विहीन व्यवहार उनकी आदत सी हो गई है।
This is not the first time Jaya Bachchan has taken on the Rajya Sabha chairman. The MP was upset when she was introduced as Jaya Amitabh Bachchan in the house recently.
सर सिर्फ जया बच्चन बोलते तो काफी हो जाता।
यहाँ पूरा नाम लिखा था इसलिए मैंने रिपीट किया।
ये जो है कुछ नया तरीका निकला है कि महिलाएं जो है अपने पति के नाम से जानी जाएंगी। You may be sitting on the
Bureau Report, India Today.
And I remember when I went to school.
Jayaji, take your seat. Jayaji, take your seat.
So high drama there in Parliament. Let's turn from there to what's been happening in neighboring Bangladesh. Remember, one of the issues that has been playing out is just how Hindu temples, a few households and businesses have been vandalized, and at least 2 Hindu leaders affiliated to Sheikh Hasina's Awami League party were killed in the violence that's taken place since Monday. Take a look at this detailed report.
Temples targeted. Hindu homes looted and torched. As violence gripped Bangladesh after Sheikh Hasina fled the country, frightened Hindus are reaching the border with India in hundreds.
Yesterday, around 1,200 Bangladeshi people have gathered and they wanted to enter India. And after that, the BSF has increased the patrolling and the number of Jawans. And for these reasons, this unfenced, these are the wires which have been erected here temporarily to stop the illegal infiltration of Bangladeshis.
Minority communities in the country are on the edge as anti-Hasina forces went on the rampage, killing political rivals. The victims included at least 2 Hindu leaders affiliated with the Awami League. Indian security agencies have issued an alert. The Narendra Modi government has set up a committee to monitor the situation on the border with Bangladesh. Central forces have heightened surveillance. In Dhaka, the new interim government led by Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus is taking shape. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Yunus on taking charge and urged him to ensure safety and protection of Hindus and all other minority communities. Yunus met with Bangladeshi officials on Friday. He has appealed for peace.
মানুষকে আক্রমণ করছে, ঘরবাড়ি জ্বালিয়ে দিচ্ছে, সম্পদ জ্বালিয়ে নষ্ট করছে, চুরি দিয়ে যাচ্ছে, অফিস আদালত আক্রমণ করছে, সংখ্যালঘুদের উপর আক্রমণ করছে, হিন্দু, বৌদ্ধ, খ্রিস্টান, আহমদিয়া সবার উপর আক্রমণ করছে। এগুলো হলো ষড়যন্ত্রের অংশ। এগুলো আমাদের বিষয় না। আমাদের কাজ হলো এটাকে রক্ষা করে, সবাইকে রক্ষা করে।
Bangladesh's ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who fled to India, remains at the Hindon Air Base near Delhi. The new government under Yunus faces 2 significant challenges: ending the violence against Hindus and reviving the country's struggling economy. Bureau Report, India Today.
And earlier I spoke to Mahfouz Anam. He is Bangladesh's senior most journalist, editor of the Daily Star. And I began by asking him that in India, sir, there are concerns about targeted attacks on Hindu shrines, worries that the minority Hindus are being targeted in some parts. Can you allay those fears? Do you believe that there is no question of any group being allowed to target Hindus under the pretext of what's been happening on the street to settle scores?
Okay, let me share that the concern has been with us also. I, as an editor, we have written very strongly about it. We have tried to, reach out to others. The NGOs have reached out. And so, yes, there were some instances which shouldn't have happened. We are very concerned about it. But it is definitely on the wane. And here, if I may, we have been following some of the social media, which is in India. I think it is. I will not say it is being very, very exaggerated, but I think the focus is being on some instances of killing, some instances of looting Hindu homes. But it is also true that Awami League leaders who have really held a supreme sway in their local areas, they have also been targeted. But all of this is very unfortunate. I would like to say that it is really not under control fully, but it is on the wane. And I would like to, through you, assure the people of India, the journalists of India, that things are coming under control. We are also very conscious that minorities should not be target. And I think we are getting a grip on the situation.
You're saying the country is getting a grip on the situation, but who's really in charge? Is it the army which is in charge in a way? Is it the interim government headed by Mr. Yunus? Or will it be eventually the BNP, the opposition party? And where does all this leave the formerly ruling Awami League? Is Bangladesh still in an element of political confusion and, dare I say, a political vacuum, Mr. Anam?
No, please understand the situation. At the moment, if the law and order and the power of giving security to life and property is in the hands of the army, there has been some, if you like, chaotic situation among the police, who the students and the public really felt outraged about because of their firing. So there are these if you like, what should I say, unsteady areas. But the institution which is really now in the grip of at least security is the army.
But what happens then, as I said, to the Awami League? What happens to the targeted attacks we are seeing on Awami League politicians? Is that worrying, or is Awami League no longer a factor in this new Bangladesh that's emerging?
Of course, it will be a factor. It is a very old party. It has a very high tradition. But as it happens, there is if you like, a backlash on Awami League. They have been in power for last 15 years. And as it happens in our part of the world, that when you are in power for a long time, you forget that you are answerable. What Awami League actually did, much to their great mistake, is the manipulation of the elections. 2014, 2018, and 2020. Early 2024. These elections have been totally manipulated, which we in the newspaper wrote endless editorials, articles. But since they were able to manage the situation, they thought that that's the way to go. One election after another, they managed 3. But the internal resentment within the public, I mean, imagine yourself as a voter, you have not been able to vote in 3 consecutive elections. This Awami League totally underestimated. And also, I must say that Awami League is a party that has a 75-year tradition. It has been involved with most of our democratic movements. It was the leading party in 1971, our liberation movement. How that party would detach themselves from the people and so severely, so completely, is a very interesting question for political scientists to perhaps do research on.
I want to ask you in conclusion something that we've been hearing in this country as well, Mr. Anam, that is this really a popular revolt, or has it been fomented from the outside? There has been talk of, dare I say at times, a US hand, a Chinese hand, even an ISI hand. Are you telling me all that has happened in the last fortnight has been purely internal, spontaneous and organic?
It has been purely internal, organic, spontaneous, and it would not have come to this if the Awami League government had been a little more matured, little more circumspect, a little more, not much, a little more tolerant. I mean, just to give you one figure, within a matter of just about a week, more than 200 citizens, out of which 50 students were shot on the streets of Dhaka. Now imagine a history of the whole subcontinent. Did you ever hear of 200 people being killed through police firing within a matter of 7 days? I really cannot still comprehend what got into the government's mind, what got into Sheikh Hasina's mind. We had our language movement in which only 4 people were killed in 1952. We had a anti-Ayub movement in 1969 when only 1 student was killed in the street of Dhaka. I mean, there were other killings on and on, but never. So didn't this number strike a chord? And it happened day after day for 7 days. So you have a killing on day 1, stop it on day 2. You have a killing on day 2, stop it on day 3. So I tell you, I'm a very old journalist. I'm running this paper for 33 years, and believe me, I could never comprehend on this absolute mindless violence with which the demonstrations had been handled. And I feel that if it was handled in a matured way, we may not have had such a dramatic and drastic consequences. But my last point about whether there is a Chinese or this and that, here I'd like to appeal to my Indian journalist friends that we are a country of 70 million people. We have a middle class of 30 million. I mean, please do not always think that we are either pushed by Pakistan on one side, that's why we do something. Another day, India pushes us on another side, or Chinese pushing us. Do give us the dignity of a people, citizens of a sovereign country. It has now been 53 years we have been independent. We have learned something. And we are not always lackeys of this country or that country. We love Bangladesh and we will build it.
I appreciate you joining us, Mahfouz Anam, a voice of sobriety amidst all the noise. I know what you've gone through personally in Bangladesh in recent times. Thank you so much for joining me. You can watch, of course, that full interview with Mahfouz Anam on indiatoday.com. Let's take a break. When we return, I'm turning to our Good News Today story. Man of the moment, India's hockey hero, one and only PS Srijesh. We'll tell you more of why he is now being called the Dhoni of hockey. Back in a moment.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते। बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की, ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है। मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
The grandest stage,
the ultimate challenge, where dreams are made and legends are born. The pinnacle of sportsmanship, where new heroes will rise and old records will fall.
As the Olympic journey begins, our nation unites in a single resounding cheer. Go India, go for glory.
Go India, go for glory. Only on India Today.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you, presented by Motorola. Jagdeep Dhankad and Jaya Bachchan spar in Rajya Sabha. Jaya objects to Dhankad stone. Politics erupts over Rajya Sabha seat proposal to Vinesh Fogart. FIR against Pooja Khedkar's father in Pune for obstructing government work.
Welcome back. This Olympic Games, India hasn't thrown up too many heroes. We've been so near and yet so far in many events. But one person who's proven yet again that he's the wall of India is our goalkeeper, hockey goalkeeper P.S. Srijesh. In his last match for India, he was once again the man who ensured India got another bronze, a quite remarkable achievement for the Indian hockey team to win 2 consecutive bronze medals at the Olympic Games. Listen in to what Srijesh had to say.
With me is the wall of Indian hockey, Srijesh. Firstly, I want to know from you, I'm planning to start a petition to ensure that you don't retire. How many signatures do you want? I'll get those signatures. Tell me.
See, I know that after today's match or after today's victory, nobody wanted me to retire. But as I mentioned earlier, my coach said, Sri, it's a question. Like when you retire, when you take that call, people should not ask why not. They should ask why. And I think this is the perfect way. But yeah, I think my team gave the best send-off to me.
I've often seen you, today also I saw you, some time alone thinking about it. You often talk to the goalposts as well. Tell our viewers, will you miss that conversation with your goalposts?
Definitely, it was my life from last 24 years, so definitely I will miss that. And you know that the trust what I had there, every time when I consider a goal, whenever I make a saves, the goalpost was there with me. So he knows how hard I worked, he knows how the journey was, and he knows my success, he knows my failure. So that thing is constant. They never changed any emotions. It was like, it's part of my life. So, but I'm going to miss them, but it's fine. That's how life.
Okay, you came in 2006. You were a young kid that time. Now you're the senior pro. How much has Indian hockey changed since the time you started playing? Your teammates, your players, Indian hockey overall?
So it's in one sentence, it's really easy. Before, you wanted to become an Olympian. Now you wanted to become an Olympic medalist. That's how it's changed.
That's brilliantly put. I want to know from you. Oftentimes the comparison is there. You're as big. I call you the wall. You're as big as Rahul Dravid. But cricketers get that kind of, love and support from the country. Sometimes do you feel you play a wrong sport?
See, you can't say that. My life is because of hockey, and my family is eating their bread and butter because of hockey, and this people recognize me because of hockey. Money is not everything. I think that there are some emotions, and people shows that emotion to us, and I think I'm proud I played this beautiful game, and I achieved something for my country in Olympics or in any platform of the hockey. So I should say this, it's nothing against cricket. Cricket is a beautiful game. A lot of legends, a lot of youngsters, young kids are looking at to them, and that is really good. I think cricket should go higher, and simultaneously we also should go higher.
Okay, Srijesh, thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us. All the very best.
Srijesh, quite remarkable. Just a programming note, there will be a special South Asia roundtable that we are having this Saturday 9 p.m. and Sunday 7 p.m. Don't miss that. We are getting guests from across South Asia in a special India. We are getting guests from across South Asia in a special India Today cover story Circle of Fire in a week where Bangladesh. I am a hockey nut. For me, while I am passionate about all sports, there's something special about Indian hockey. I've gone through much agony over the years. Growing up, Indian hockey would not win an Olympic medal through the 70s. Yes, we won one gold in the 80s, but generally we struggled. In the last few years, though, we've seen a new dawn in Indian hockey. And therefore, this video to me is the best way to celebrate a moment that I can only describe as Chak De India. It's the moment for me of this Olympic. I salute our hockey players and all our Olympians. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते। बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की, ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है। मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।